too.
Excellent.
Good.
Okay, good morning, Chair Ballendorf, member Holmes, staff, and guests. The lobbies are open and the recording has begun.
Thank you, Gretchen. Good morning, everyone. I'll now convene the board caucus meeting for Tuesday, August 12th. It's my sister's birthday. Happy birthday. It's my sister's. Anyway, sorry, I'm distracted by August 12th here. So we'll jump right into our agenda this morning. I better call her. The first item on our agenda is the second substitute House Bill 1515 implementation. So we've got Desiree and Kaylin from our licensing division to give us an update on the implementation of 1515, otherwise I think known as the World Cup bill. So I'll turn it over to Desiree and Kaylin for an update.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Ballendorf and board members Garrett and Holmes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just need to make a quick announcement that board member Garrett is away on leave today and will not be joining us. So thank you.
Thank you. My name is Kaylin Gooby. I am the Mandatory Alcohol Server Training and Responsible Vendor Program Manager. And today I'll be sharing an update on the implementation of Second Substitute House Bill 1515 for expanded alcohol services. We have a brief presentation prepared for you today, and we'll have some time reserved at the end for questions.
Thank you.
Just a moment. Please. As a quick overview, there are 3 authorizations available through the temporary allowance: expanded outdoor alcohol services in public spaces when requested by local governments, and available through December 31st, 2027. Also through the end of 2027, cities with a population of at least 220,000 may request authorization for expanded indoor and/or outdoor events on publicly owned civic campuses. Third, with the FIFA World Cup being hosted in Seattle, the host city and designated fan zones may request expanded indoor and/or outdoor alcohol service during one multi-day event effective June and July of 2026. Next slide, please. At the beginning of August, the agency published a high-level overview on our external website. It's easily accessible from the home page and outlines the 3 authorizations under the temporary allowance. We also have an email address established for questions, which is expandedalcoholservices@lcb.wa.gov. Our team and communications will expand on the information currently available on the website when we go live, which is anticipated to be August 27th. The additional content will focus on civic campus events and expanded outdoor service in public spaces. Next slide. Our technical team is working hard with Accenture to build and test all the components to ensure a positive customer experience when utilizing the portal to apply for the temporary authorizations. We will be viewing demonstrations of the application process in the coming weeks. As you know from briefings from our LCB rules team, they've been working diligently to ensure rules are developed. Draft rule language is now available on our website, and we look forward to the stakeholder engagement sessions scheduled for August 20th and 22nd. The agency is working together on issuing a policy statement that will provide guidance in the interim. And after rules are adopted and well in advance of the World Cup, we will add additional information to our website regarding fan zones. That is it. Thank you for having us today. That concludes our presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you so much. Board member Holmes, any questions?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. I just have one question. So the 1515 has a sunset date, and I am thinking back to some of the temporary allowances that we made under the COVID pandemic. And when that was over, we had some requests to extend or to make permanent some of those changes. And so in anticipation of perhaps some coming forward when the sunsets asking us to extend this, I'm wondering what kind of data or what kind of information are we collecting so that we can evaluate the impact of these changes so that when those requests come, which I anticipate in a couple of years, that we are informed and can make decisions based on data. And I see that Sarah Oki is here. So if Sarah is the better person to answer this, or just thinking about what are we putting in place to be prepared to evaluate the impacts of this policy change.
Thank you, Chair Bolandroff, Desiree Monroy. So I'd like to address your question. Happy to have Sarah jump in as well if she'd like to. So we're going to have a couple different data points that we'll be looking at to inform future decision making. Of course, we'll be collecting information on the licensing side as we process things like operating plans and site maps. Particularly in regards to the large civic campus events that we anticipate will be in high demand once we open the gates. Also, there are 2 reports that will be required to the board of LCB as well as to the state legislature that the local authorities will be producing that speaks to the experience of these events. And I do think that is certainly an opportunity to get information. They have to do community stakeholder engagement as well as part of that requirement. So they'll be able to get feedback from their communities about how successful these endeavors are, or if in contrary that they're not in favor. So I think that will also be really great information for us to obtain and to review. And I do anticipate, because those are going to be submitted to the state legislature, that they will be certainly consumed if they are considering extending and or making any of these allowances permanent.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. That's really helpful. Can you just clarify for me who the local municipalities or authorities, I can't remember which word you use, are? Are they cities or are they counties or are they a combination? Like, who is the local group that would be responsible for submitting a report back to the LCB and the legislature?
Great question. So yes, it will certainly be all of those. Under this authorization, it does allow cities, counties, towns, unincorporated areas of counties specifically, I should say. If the city, of course, is in the county, the city is the one that's in charge. We'll also be getting feedback from the campus operators for those cities that have a population greater than 220,000.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, Board Member Holmes.
Sure. Thank you. Just one quick question. You know, on August 27, we're hosting the Alcohol Advisory Council. I suspect this will be of interest, and although there's probably not a lot more to expect in the next couple of weeks, I would like to make sure we're prepared to try and field questions that may come from the industry representatives.
Absolutely. And that was part of our intent with this debrief. And I know that you're working very closely with our division director, Becky Smith, on getting ready for that engagement.
Great.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Sarah, I see you came on camera. Did you want to say anything, or did you just come on? I don't know how anyway, you popped onto my camera here.
I was just going to add, this is such a wonderful setup for the next agenda item. So I'll wait to talk about this
Okay.
for the roundtable.
All right, thank you. All right, Caitlin, thank you so much. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, now I know why Sarah popped up on my screen here, because she's our next agenda item. So Sarah's going to give us an update from the August 6th LCB Research Roundtable meeting. So thank you, Sarah, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, hello, Chair Bolandroff and Member Holmes. Wonderful to talk with you today. So I'll be giving an update about our second research roundtable, which took place last Wednesday, August 6th, for an hour and a half. Last time, Member Holmes joined us, and this time Chair Bolandroff joined us. So as a reminder, our research roundtables began this past year, and they are developed for researchers and state agencies to discuss and learn about research on various topics, alcohol, cannabis, tobacco, really anything related to what we do here at LCB and everything that's grounded in research. So the reason why I mentioned this is a perfect transition is because the topic of the day was on evaluating alcohol policies. And we had a booked agenda. So I'll walk through that agenda now. Dr. Nick Gladowski, our research analyst, welcomed everyone, and we did a fun centering scientist-related Mad Lib activity. We are trying to do a short centering activity every time. It helps to bring people into this space and perhaps encourages and welcomes people to speak up more. So there is science behind why we're trying to do a centering activity every time. He also did some housekeeping. So for example, he reminded everyone that the goal for each roundtable, and specifically this one, because this is evaluating alcohol policies, the goal is not to discuss policies. We're not discussing rule language. We are discussing research and evaluation using the scientific method. Then I started talking about the topic of the day, including why we chose alcohol policies. And I'll briefly, our research program's goal is to grow our policy evaluation. We know comprehensive evaluation takes a lot of effort and resources and collaboration. And there's a lot of upcoming rules like 1515 and what Kayleen was describing that are being developed and implemented right now. Then we introduced our speaker, Dr. Christine Lee. She is a research professor at the Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at UW and associate director at the Center for the Study of Health and Risk Behaviors at University of Washington. She discussed the importance of evaluating high-risk drinking events, and I have to say, I think she blew this talk out of the water.
It's really good.
Yeah, it was so good. Dr. Lee discussed how there is a lot of data and a lot of research showing that specific events like birthdays, New Year's Eve, and say larger events like the World Cup drive high risk drinking. And with the implementation of 1515, there are so many opportunities to prepare and start asking questions and identify and collect data, create partnerships, so we can provide you all with the data so you can make informed decision making. And these research studies don't need to be legislatively mandated. They don't really need to be collected from us. They could be people that are at Washington State University or UW, and then they can, talk to us about what they found. But it could be helpful in, for example, with these sunset dates. It could be really informative for us to know what may or may not be impacting public health and safety, so we could talk to the legislature about, what might be helpful for those. Then Dr. Tyler Watson, our research specialist, followed up with a fantastic transition of how different data sources provide different levels of insights across public health and prevention frameworks. So he described current and potential data sources within those frameworks that we have, depending on the questions that we all might have. And our goal here was to understand whether and what other data sources might be available through collaborations. And then finally, we opened up the discussion for brainstorming our special guest for the brainstorming session was Dr. Amani Rashid. She is a senior research associate at the Washington State Institute for Public Policy. She leads the I-502 evaluation, and she has great insights, such as when thinking about the evaluation, the earlier you start thinking about what you want to collect, such as the question, Chair Volendroff, that you just asked about what data points we're collecting, the earlier we start thinking about it, the better. So Member Holmes, when we have that meeting in a few weeks or in a couple of weeks, I think that's a great time to start asking and brainstorming. So that way we can get ahead of it. So we're not, in a year from now, we're not thinking, oh, what would be nice to collect, and start thinking about, we already have a plan in place.
Mm-hmm.
But we had really good participation. I can't believe it was only the second one. We're still, this is our only second one, so we're still working and refining and figuring out how to shape these and make them as productive as possible. If there are data sources, if there are questions, now is the time for us to start thinking and brainstorming. And we are looking forward to our next roundtable in November.
Great, thank you so much. Board Member Holmes, any questions, comments?
Other than that, she's reading my mind, that we driven, and we've got to be thoughtful about how we get there. So anyway, thank you. Very sorry I had to miss that last one.
Thank you, Sarah. So I was able to attend. I was very impressed with both speakers were incredibly knowledgeable and helpful. I was also impressed with the variety of attendees. We had attendees from our universities. We had attendees from other state agencies, as well as our own staff who are interested in evaluation. I thought that was great, in particular, to see how much staff are interested in the questions that are coming up, and how do we take evaluation into consideration as we're developing programs or evaluating our own programs or policies. So they were really good. I did have a question about our own, did you or do we put an evaluation out of the meeting itself, so we can hear from people their thoughts about the meeting, what they liked about the meeting, what they would recommend for improvements, or what they would recommend for future agenda items or anything like that, Sarah?
That's a great, so when we designed this, we had initially said that we are planning on creating that evaluation tool. And originally we were thinking creating this like 1 year, having this first 3 and creating it. And I'm also wondering if we need to wait for that full year mark before we do that evaluation.
Yeah, I think not. I mean, I think that I always appreciate real-time evaluation of the meeting itself, so that we can hear from people and help us shape future agendas or just get their perspective. So just something to consider. I was just curious. But again, I thought it was really good, and appreciate your leadership in helping pull those together, and look forward to seeing those continue and become more robust. And, the beauty of those roundtables is, I mean, the presentations and the meeting itself is great, but it's the relationships that you're developing with all of those other state agencies, with the institutions of higher learning in the state, and other contacts that are incredibly helpful as well. So, Member Holmes?
Just a real quick reminder to the attendees and to our stakeholders that the fact that Board Member Garrett and I didn't attend was not a lack of desire or anything like that. Again, it's the Open Public Meetings Act and the additional restrictions that would really hamper the roundtable. So just again, Sarah, you know that, and I think it's a good reminder. We certainly are paying attention, and I wish I could have been there, if nothing else, as a potted plant.
Thank you. And also a good reminder as to why we have people come to this meeting and update all of us about a recent roundtable. And so anytime we have a roundtable discussion, whether it's a sports and entertainment or prevention or any roundtable discussion, Gretchen now puts on the agenda the person who is leading those meetings so that the other board members who are not able to participate because of the Open Public Meetings Act can be updated and get an opportunity to ask questions. So really appreciate that.
And I will say that it's been exciting because from both of the roundtables that we've had, we were already seeing these collaborations that are coming out of both roundtables. So from the first roundtable, we're seeing this like spin-off collaboration. And from the second roundtable, we're talking with Dr. Lee about, how we can foster, research studies from this and bring in other researchers. So we're excited about how this is really kind of a jumping board into other research initiatives.
Yeah, well, great. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate your participation today.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now transition into our next agenda item, which is a policy and rules team update. And so we've got Kevin and Denise here today, and we'll start with a general update from Kevin. Good morning, Kevin.
Hi there. Good morning, Chair Volendroff and Board Member Holmes. The rules team has been quite busy since our last board meeting on June 4th, especially given that we're operating at diminished capacity with one of our 3 rules coordinators out on extended leave at a time when we are taking on an extraordinarily high volume of rulemaking activity. Mm-hmm. We filed 4 CR 101s in late June and July, bringing us to a current total of 11 rules projects open, and we plan to file 3 more by mid-September and yet another in October. We will also be resuming a previously paused rulemaking effort and requesting approval to withdraw a CR 101 at tomorrow's board meeting as well. And so this will bring us to a total of 15 open rule projects contingent upon board approval by the time that we roll into autumn. So to recap the recent CR 101 filings since our last board meeting, we had on June 25th, the cannabis transportation rulemaking, and that was a petition-driven one. We had the cannabis heavy metals testing, which was also the result of a petition. Then on July 23rd, we filed for the cannabis COA expiration rulemaking, which is another petition-driven rule. And then we also filed on the July 23rd, the Cannabis Retail Management Agreements CR 101. And so that is to implement engrossed substitute Senate Bill 5403. So then moving on to our upcoming CR 101 filings planned for the next couple of months. On August 27th, we plan to file the Cannabis R&D Terminology CR 101, and that is yet another petition-driven rulemaking effort. And we will file for contract kitchens, that is implementation of engrossed House Bill 1602. Then on September 17th, we plan to file the Cannabis Harvest Dates on Labels rulemaking. And that is also a petition-driven rulemaking. Then we plan to resume the cannabis advertising rulemaking, initially started in late 2022, in order to implement engrossed Senate Bill 5206. Because this rulemaking effort has been paused for some time, a new informal public comment period will be announced in September before work with stakeholders will begin in October. And then finally, due to the volume of current rulemaking activity and limited rules team capacity, we will need to push out the CR 105 expedited rulemaking package to implement House Bill 1636, House Bill 1698, and second substitute Senate Bill 5786 out likely to October. So the required rule amendments have already been clearly mapped out, but it will take significant time to make tedious changes to over 40 separate WACs for that package. This adjustment and the timeline will not impact licensing or enforcement efforts, as the statute is already in effect. Licensing system updates have already been made, and the appropriate staff have been trained on these changes. However, we do want to ensure that our rules are in alignment with statute as soon as possible, and we're still on track to accomplish that by the end of the year.
Nice.
So moving on to current rules, we will be holding a public hearing on acceptable forms of identification. That's for cannabis and alcohol, and the seasonal hours for beer and wine restaurants rulemaking on Thursday, August 14th, this week. And unless it's determined that significant changes are needed in response to public testimony, we plan to seek approval to adopt these rules at the next board meeting on September 10th. The draft rule language for expanded alcohol service areas, that's the implementation of 1515 that was discussed earlier, was posted at the beginning of the month, and notice was sent inviting members of the public to attend the feedback session scheduled for next week on Wednesday the 20th at 10 a.m. and Friday the 22nd at 1 p.m. We anticipate moving to the CR 102 phase in October at this point, which will keep us on track to adopt the new rules around the end of the year. And since the law took effect on July 27th, and we plan to begin issuing licenses by the end of the month, we will be issuing an official policy statement imminently, probably within the next day or so here, to provide clarity to the public in the meantime. And then we've got the retail alcohol product placement rule effort. We have completed a second draft in response to public feedback and plan to announce additional stakeholder session dates for September in the coming weeks. So that's kind of it for the current rules. As far as petitions go, following my update, Denise will provide our recommendation regarding the petition we received requesting rulemaking in response to what the petitioner has described as unfair trade practices, which is due by the end of the week. And we also received a petition on July 22nd with a response due by September 21st, requesting rulemaking requiring IDs for online retail accounts. The rules team is currently researching this petition and will have a recommendation prepared for the next board meeting on September 10th. So I think that covers it for now. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Kevin. Board Member Holmes, any questions?
None, but well, one. Could you remind me what that the online accounts, what kind of accounts they're talking about in that last rulemaking petition?
Yeah, so to be honest, we're not entirely clear what that means. That's why we're looking into it. The petitioner did not specify which WACs or you know they would like us to address, but it appears to be that they're asking for, like, when you go online and you can create an online shopping cart or a frequent buyer program or something like that. But again, we're researching that just to clarify exactly what was intended there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate all the work. Obviously, based on that update, you guys are really busy and you're down a person. And so just really appreciate all the work that's happening to continue to move all this work forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have Denise up next, who's going to provide us an update on board withdrawal of CR 101 for cannabis license distance. So Denise, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chair Volendroff and Board Member Holmes. This morning, I will briefly discuss the CR 101 that I will be requesting withdrawal of during tomorrow's board meeting. This CR 101 relates to amending WAC 314-55050 subsection 2 for how the 1,000-foot buffer distance is measured between licensed cannabis retailers and restricted entities such as schools, playgrounds, and child care centers. If approved tomorrow, the CR 101 will be withdrawn and the withdrawal would be effective immediately. The CR 101 for this project was filed on June 4th of this year, and we had previously received 8 comments, with 2 additional comments in support of this rulemaking that have come in last week and 1 yesterday. The comment submitted last week was from a retailer who had provided comments previously in support. And the comment that came in yesterday from a retailer in support of the rulemaking indicated that they were mistaken and thought that the rulemaking was meant to decrease the 1,000-foot buffer to 100 feet. Of the 10 total comments received to date, 3 of these were from retailers in support of this rulemaking, and the 6 other comments submitted were opposed to changing how buffer distance is measured. These comments came from 2 associations, the Association of Washington Cities and the Washington Cannabis Licensee Association. 2 individual cities also provided comments, Bellevue and Spokane Valley, and 2 were from cannabis retailers. Reasons provided in opposition to this rulemaking include that the existing regulation is clear as it is and aligns with voter-approved initiative, and that existing retailers have invested in their current locations. Under RCW 6950-331, subsection 8B, cities, counties, and towns have the authority currently to reduce the 1,000-foot buffer down to 100 feet under local ordinances if they wish, except for around schools and playgrounds specifically. In addition, identifying and verifying the distance for new alternative routes would require additional resources for our licensing and enforcement and education staff, who expect that many more locations would need to be checked compared to the very low number of liquor licensees that require distance verification in the field currently. So based on the comments we have received on this rulemaking, as well as considering the other rulemaking currently underway and pending for this year, it makes sense to withdraw the CR 101 for this rulemaking at this time. But let me know if you have any questions.
Board Member Holmes, any questions?
Just a comment. I fully appreciate that we initiated this look at the rule internally. I thought it was really sound motivation, particularly with the social equity, the second phase being launched. The notion that there are limited sites for retail establishments continues to be an issue for the cannabis industry. So my hope, though, is that I support the withdrawal, and I believe that we should use this as an opportunity to continue to reach out to municipalities that so far are not permitting licensed cannabis outfits, whether it's production, processing, or retail, within their jurisdictions, and enjoy the revenues that are derived and further help us to keep the illegal market at bay. So that's my comment. And again, I'm very grateful that the staff undertook this.
Thank you very much, Member Holmes. All right, Denise, thank you very much. Appreciate your participation today. All right, Denise, you're back up. So we are now transitioning to rules petition review and consideration of unfair cannabis trade practices.
Yes, good morning again, Chair Bollendroff and Board Member Holmes. On June 16th of this year, we received a petition for rulemaking from Matthew Matson on behalf of Seth Simpson of Greenside Recreational. This petition sought to address what were described as unfair trade practices, perpetual sales, and wholesale pricing disparities in the cannabis industry. Mr. Matson requests that the LCB examine current wholesale pricing practices within the industry. His petition specifically calls out what he describes as emerging disparities in pricing offered by producers and processors to retail license holders and the broader implications these disparities have on market fairness, consumer pricing, and the foundational principles of Initiative 502. The petitioner does not indicate which specific WAC sections are to be amended. We received a comment in support of this petition yesterday from another attorney representing licensees who had concerns related to pricing practices between producers and processors and retailers that he said current rulemaking to implement in gross substitute Senate Bill 5403 would not address. This commenter acknowledged that the issue appears to be noncompliance with the Consumer Protection Act and, like the petitioner, didn't indicate which specific WAC sections the LCB would consider amending. I'll go into more detail tomorrow, but in gross substitute Senate Bill 5403, passed this last legislative session, will likely address many of the petitioner's concerns, including around coordinated pricing practices associated with the use of management agreements. The CR 101 to initiate rulemaking to implement in gross substitute Senate Bill 5403, as Kevin mentioned, was filed on July 23rd, and we are meeting internally for our rules team around this implementation later today, actually. The informal comment period for this rulemaking is open until September 5th, and we plan to conduct stakeholder engagement in September. Because engrossed substitute Senate Bill 5403 addresses concerns included in this petition and rulemaking to implement this legislation is currently underway, the Director's Office is recommending the board deny this petition. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Board Member Holmes?
Just to comment, I realize this continues to be a controversial subject, and I've enjoyed talking with Director Luke Kella recently about, our efforts to understand what's going on. I just mentioned that I did receive a disturbing communication a little over a week ago from one producer that is throwing in the towel financially, giving up the business, and this is one of the areas that he has cited as a reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you bringing that up. Okay, Denise, thank you. Anything else? All right, well, we'll see you tomorrow then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so just transitioning to our next agenda item, it's just an announcement from myself regarding written comment for our board meetings and our follow-up to that. As you can probably guess, when we transitioned from oral comment to written comment, we needed to put in place many processes to make sure we didn't miss any comments addressed to the board for our board meetings. And so, as you can also imagine, we get a lot of emails that come through. So Gretchen and I met and we've conferred with the director and the AG's office about a process to make sure that we are accounting for and publicly posting all comments related to our board agendas. And so I just wanted to clarify and just quickly point out that we updated language on our board website to specifically identify the process to make sure that members of the public who want to comment on agenda items know exactly how to do so and how to properly identify what would get attached to a board meeting as a specific public comment. And so I'm just going to read to you part of the language so that Board Member Holmes and anybody else can just clearly understand what our process is. So to ensure that comment is considered before action is taken by the board, we encourage you, community members, to submit comment at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. Comments received in that time frame will be distributed to and be reviewed by all board members ahead of the meeting. If your comment relates to items of a specific board meeting agenda, please include that agenda item in the subject line and the body of your email. So we're asking community members to identify what their subject is, as it relates to the agenda in both the subject line and the body of the email. Comments related to agenda items will be attached to the meeting's official minutes once finalized and will also be posted to our websites. If you have questions or comments, as you can imagine, we get a lot of other questions and comments that are not directly related to our specific board meeting. They will be forwarded to the appropriate staff members who will respond as needed. These comments, questions, and responses will not be included in the board meeting minutes. So if they're not specifically directly related to an agenda item, you will receive they will receive a response, but it will not be attached to that particular agenda. So just wanted to make sure everybody was really clear about that. Just again, as we transitioned, we've identified just things where we needed to be very clear, and this was one of them. So Board Member Holmes, any questions about that?
This seems like a natural evolution of a sound rule change, and I applaud you for getting these details worked out. I will say that I continue to find the written comments that we're receiving to be incredibly helpful. It gives us an opportunity to study the comments and what the commenter is, the points they're trying to make. And I just think that this is a further refinement of a great rule change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate your comment about the value that we place on these written comments, because I too find them to be extremely helpful, and I appreciate the time to sit and consider them before a decision is made. So appreciate that. All right. Well, any board member or executive assistance reports before we adjourn the meeting today? Board Member Holmes?
None, other than to thank Gretchen again for her role in coordinating things like this rule change and the upcoming advisory council meetings. And, the whole team, the rules team, everyone is working very hard, and, despite the hot weather. So
I agree with that. And yes, you and Gretchen and I, of course, meet on a regular basis, and she keeps me updated on the upcoming alcohol advisory meeting and the agenda and the work that you both have done to pull that together. And I'm pleased with the time frame from which we made the decision to start those again and having our first meeting. I think you guys have done a great job with that, and appreciate that. Gretchen, Deb, any announcements for today?
Nothing today for me, Board Chair. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That concludes our meeting, and so I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.